The Washington Commanders get run out of their own stadium by the Miami Dolphins 45-15. We've got to talk about Sam Howell. It's time for a reckoning. Greetings and salutations, and welcome to Ref the District's day after reckoning. We've slept on the game. We're going to come back to it and see if our thoughts have changed. And they haven't, but we'll get to that in a moment. We are presented by Bet Online. Holiday season is in full swing. NFL playoffs are coming up. NBA in full action. You got the bowl games coming up as well. You want to make sure you head over to Bet Online. They've got all your wagering news, information, odds, everything right at your fingertips with their mobile app as well. Just use the code BELIEVE, BLEAV, and treat yourself this holiday season with the 50% welcome bonus just by using that code. Bet Online, where the game starts. Washington knew going into this game, Washington fans knew going into this game, it was not going to be easy, and it was likely going to push them much closer to that top 5 pick quite a few fans would love them to have. Now, the problem is it wasn't what we still wanted. Washington managed to go under our expectations, not just losing, but losing big and not being competitive. We ended up seeing a Mike White sighting for Miami Dolphins. We even saw Jacoby Brissett come out, and it led to a lot of question marks as we head into the bye week. One of those question marks is a very touchy subject here, and I want to preface this here right now with I still believe Sam Howell could have the weapons he needs to be successful in the NFL. That being said, you have to call a spade here. Sam Howell did not have a good game by any measurement. He had the one good run there, maybe a good throw here or there, but Sam Howell has not played well for the last 3 games. The New York Giants, Dallas on Thanksgiving, and now this game against Miami. It is okay, fan base, talking to you there, Sam Howell fan collection, to not have to defend him at every second. He even said it himself. He's got to be better. So listen to him. Sam Howell has not been good. And now it puts us in a situation where the next staff really has to question what they're going to do with that top 10 pick. Because even if Washington doesn't end up in the top 5, it'd be surprising with the schedule ahead of them that they don't end up with the top 10 pick. Sam Howell has shown us that there are good things in him. He can make NFL throws. He can do things off schedule. He can really kind of, be a good quarterback. But can he be a top 10 quarterback? Can he be a top 15 quarterback? Right now, he's playing 15 to 20. Yesterday, he played bottom 5. He was not a good quarterback yesterday. Throws were off. He was holding on to the ball too long. And it's okay to tell us that. It's okay to have your concerns. Stop making excuses for him. Yes, the offensive line is bad. Yes, the offensive scheme is not great. No one was saying that when he was performing well. Now he's performing bad. And this isn't just the only bad game he's had all season. If you were actually to look at it, he's had more bad games than he's had good games. He's had almost as many bad throws as he's had good throws. He's a first-year starter is the biggest excuse we keep seeing. It doesn't matter. When he goes into next season, they aren't looking at that. They're looking at, do we have a QB that can make a difference for us where we can take either an offensive weapon, as a lot of people get excited about Marvin Harrison Jr., or an offensive tackle to shore up this line that's abysmal, that everybody knows is abysmal. And right now, he's not showing he has it. And games like this are going to cost him next season. So pump your brakes. I think we got a little too excited with Sam Howell when he put together 3 good games in a row, which he did. He absolutely put together 3 good games in a row. And we used to talk about how the Buffalo game was an outlier, but he wasn't good against Giants either game. He wasn't good against the Bears. And those games start adding up. And he wasn't good here against the Miami Dolphins. Just not good enough. And sometimes your QB's just not good enough. But he has to turn things around for Washington. He has to turn things around for him. But I really, really, really just wanted the rest of this fan base to understand that when there is criticism of Sam Howell, that it is okay. You don't have to defend him. You don't have to do what we saw with Taylor Heineke. You don't have to do what we saw with Kirk Cousins. You don't have to do what we saw with RG3. You don't have to continue to find excuses and to back them and to be like, this is the best quarterback we've had. Yeah, Brad Johnson is the best quarterback we've had since I was alive in 85. Okay, the one that I got to see anyways is Brad Johnson. Kirk Cousins may be close, but Brad Johnson. Okay, we haven't had good quarterback play. Of course, 2012 RG3. That's a whole different special situation there. Sam Howell does need more weapons. Sam Howell does need a different offensive scheme. Sam Howell does need an offensive line in front of him. He's not going to get those things if he continues putting up gains like he did here against the Miami Dolphins. He just wasn't good enough. Also, not good enough, Terry McLaurin, double goose egg, and only 3 targets. Part of me wants to continue defending Terry McLaurin and his ability, and maybe it's the turf toe that he had at the beginning of the season, and maybe Eric Bieniemy's offense just doesn't feature him enough, which it clearly doesn't. Three targets. Sam even says it. And his thing, 3 targets isn't enough for your best weapon. Terry McLaurin is the best offensive weapon Washington has. You know it. I know it. Sam knows it. Eric Bieniemy knows it. Yet he's only getting 3 targets a game, or 3 targets this past game, and double goose eggs. His best play was stopping an interception on an errant Sam Howell throw. And I'm starting to realize that Terry McLaurin, we used to say that Terry McLaurin, he's putting up 1,000-yard seasons with bum quarterbacks. He's had like 10 quarterbacks in the league. But we used to say that once he's got the right offense, and once he's got the right quarterback, he's going to blow up. Well, he didn't blow up. And this game, he was nowhere to be found, even though he wasn't targeted enough. If you go back and you look, he's not getting open. And he's not being looked at, and he's not doing anything to be looked at. There was one play I looked at that I want to see a different angle from. It was one time Sam was rushed out of the pocket, and Terry McLaurin was clear on the other side, but he didn't start there. It was just like he wasn't coming back to the ball. I don't know if he didn't realize. I don't know if Eric Bieniemy had him running more cardio, is what he said. Is what Terry McLaurin said, that he's just out there running a lot of cardio. There's a sideline shot of Terry McLaurin. It pained me. He looked so sad out there, having put up a goose egg and not being good. Terry McLaurin is 28 years old. He'll be 29 next season. It's documented that wide receivers tend to fall off at 30 years old. I think we need to come to the realization that he is less like a wide receiver 1 at this point, and will likely be a wide receiver 2. Now, we drafted a wide receiver in the first round last year. He's nowhere to be found either. So maybe we do need another offensive threat for Sam Howell and whoever the offensive coordinator is going to be next year. Because unfortunately, Terry is getting to the point where I think he's a lot more like Allen Robinson out of Chicago, was the number 1 receiver for years. And everyone doted on the talent and the fact that there was no QB in Chicago, and yet he's still putting up numbers. And then he finally gets out of Chicago and doesn't put up numbers. And people wonder, well, what happened to him? What happened to Terry? Terry didn't just forget how to run routes. Terry didn't forget how to get open. Terry didn't forget how to catch the ball, although we've seen a lot more drops from him this season. But Terry McLaurin, who we all love and who I would not trade away, there are a lot of pieces that are available for trade, I think, after or when the offseason starts. Terry McLaurin, I would not make one of them. Whether or not it's for Sam Howell or another QB, if the next staff gets there, you need a reliable wide receiver. And Terry McLaurin is a reliable wide receiver. But he is a wide receiver too. And I think we need to come to terms with that. It's rough. It's hard. I hate it. But it is one of those things that we just have to realize, because we used to think that he was QB proof, that he was scheme proof. But this season, he might not reach 1,000 yards. It might end up being his worst season. And we have a QB who may or may not put up close to 4,000 yards. That is downright shocking. And we said the system wasn't doing him any favors. Eric Bieniemy's offense. It's not the reason why Washington lost yesterday. Stress that. You'll give up 45 points. It's going to be hard to win a game. But that side of the ball was already addressed. Jack Del Rio was fired. Ron Rivera's got 4 games left on his tenure here. So we're going to turn our sights on Eric Bieniemy. He who looks pained on the sideline in the image I'm using here for the graphic. He has looked lost these last 6 games. And this game against Miami, I don't know what happened, but they gave up. Eric Bieniemy is known for passing the ball consistently. It wasn't working, and it hasn't been working. And then Washington, I think maybe it was the injury to Brian Robinson. And they were just like, okay, let's just get this one over with. We're out of it. Miami drove down over the defense in the 3rd quarter and scores another touchdown to make it 38 points. And you just know that you're never going to come back against that. And so Washington did the same thing. We're like, we're just going to go out there and we're going to just try to drive. We're not going to show any, energy. We're not going to do anything. There's video of Eric Bieniemy and Sam Howell on the sidelines. There must have been a lineman sitting between them that left before that video was pointed at, or the cameras pointed at them, because there was a wide gap. Sam Howell sitting next to Jacoby Brissett, Sam Howell talking with Jacoby Brissett about something. They have the pad in front of them, and they're just kind of BSing as Miami takes the ball down the field methodically and is going to score again. And Eric Bieniemy is over there, and he just drops an F-bomb. I don't know. Somebody talked to him over his microphone, and then he looks up and he's just like F-bomb, and don't know what it was about, but it wasn't good. I think maybe it was, hey, we're phoning this in. We're going to put in Jacoby on the next drive, because it was late in the game. And Eric Bieniemy realizes that his time is numbered as well. He's technically on a 2-year contract here in Washington, but is really 1-and-1 type, where he's got this season. He ain't going to make it to another season, though. And now his offense is puttering down the stretch. You have to wonder whether or not another team's going to take its shot with him. If Washington was putting up 30 points like they did earlier in the season, maybe things are a little bit better. But his offense has been struggling mightily these last 3 games. Maybe it coincides with Sam Howell's bad play. Maybe it coincides with playing better defenses. Whatever it is, you ended up having Miami linebackers talking to the press afterwards saying, oh, this offense was actually pretty simple. We knew if we just, stayed in our lanes, nothing was going to come at us very special, and we were going to be just fine. Nothing was going to be special. Nothing concerned them about this Washington offense. They praised the skill set that the wide receivers have. They talked about how the running back room was actually really good. Brian Robinson in particular was named as somebody who they were like, this guy is really good. But they said specifically of the offense, it just wasn't anything that they were really concerned about. And that right there is why Eric Bieniemy looks pained on the sideline. That's why he's frustrated. That's why he wonders, where is he going to be working next year? 5 years of buildup of why doesn't Eric Bieniemy have a head coaching job? He gets a offensive coordinator job here, a lateral, maybe slight promotion because they give him, assistant head coaching title. And the offense isn't good enough. And when I really start to wonder, when's the finger pointing going to start here? Because at some point, somebody's got to be like, oh, well, it's not me, right? It's Sam Howell, or Sam Howell's going to be like, well, listen, he's been very professional, by the way. He's like, I'm just not good enough. Sam Howell says it's on me. I got to be good enough. And when somebody asks him, well, is it your play? Is it the line play? Is it the wide receivers? What's going on? Sam Howell's like, listen, it's a mixture of everything, and we're trying to figure it out. It's maybe someplace it's this, maybe someplace it's that. Eric Bieniemy, what's going on with your offense? Miami came in on a heater, by the way. Their defense is good. Their defense is one of the top 10 defenses in the league, and it's been that way here, especially in the last few weeks. But your offense isn't doing anything to change that. You're not doing anything. Your offense has looked good against Philadelphia's defense, which, by the way, just got torn up by Brock Purdy and company. Now, Shanahan offenses are different, but you should be able to put up points. The Philadelphia Eagles are a defense that have holes in them. Okay. Washington has been able to exploit it. Philadelphia's exploited, or not Philadelphia, but 49ers have exploited it. But you can't seem to exploit anybody else. And it's frustrating and it's sad. And now, like this, every game, you're going into it at a foot race. Okay. The defense isn't stopping anybody. Whether or not it's Miami or somebody else, they're just not stopping anybody. So your offense needs to start performing. Like I said, we addressed the defense already. I don't expect Eric Bieniemy to be fired anytime soon, by the way. I'm not calling for that or anything. I'm just saying that at this point, we need to look at this and go, what is going on? We said fans want one thing for the rest of the season. I particularly want to win. Okay. I know that's against a lot of the tanking crowd, but we can all agree on one thing. We want competitive games. We want to see Sam Howell improve, and we're getting none of that right now. And a lot of that is on Eric Bieniemy. Moving to our go-goes and no-goes, our versions of studs and duds and however else you want to put it. Normally, I like to finish on the go-goes, be on something positive, but it's a 45 to 15 drubbing at home where you had a second back-to-back week, you had a planned celebration against you because they just knew they were going to score. It wasn't never in question. So I'm going to start off with go-goes because frankly, there's no one really there. The usual suspects, Curtis Samuel, Brian Robinson. Okay. Brian Robinson got injured. Curtis Samuel is the only wide receiver who seems to be capable in this offense. By the way, I'll give kudos to Curtis Samuel on the wheel route and Sam Howell's throw on the wheel routes. And if you've lasted this long, you can maybe ease up on the comment section just a little bit if you're watching this on YouTube. But I guess I'll just give it back to Tress Way, who had several good punts and who managed to snag those Cheeseman snaps that continue to be a problem for Washington. That's just, I don't understand it. I imagine Washington's going to be shopping for a long snapper in the offseason. We like Cheese because he's fun. He's amiable. He, seems to get along with the rest of his teammates and everything, but whatever's going on with him, it's just not cutting it. And he's if Washington wasn't so bad already all the way around him, he probably would have been cut. But long snapper is kind of at the bottom of the list of things. So Tressway, my go-go. Let's hear who you might have as your go-go after this 45-15 loss against Miami Dolphins. My no-go. And there's a lot of opportunities. I mentioned quite a bit about Sam Howell, Terry McLaurin, and Eric Bieniemy as ones who are just need to improve. They need to do something these last 4 games of the season, point blank. But if I were to pick a no-go for this game, I'm going to go back to the head guy himself, Ron Rivera, who looks lost, who looks like he doesn't know what's going on anymore, and he has lost the locker room. You got Jonathan Allen talking after the game about being tired of character building. You've got Jonathan Allen, going on the Junkies radio Monday morning and talking about how, yeah, he's thought about not being in Washington. He wants to play here. He wants to win here, but he just wants to win football games. That's your captain. That's one of your star players. That's a top 100 NFL player, regardless of what people might think about him right now, because his play has not warranted a whole lot of praise. He's still all of those things. And he is going out there publicly and talking about how, yep, done with this, not ready, not wanting to do character building, not wanting to do a rebuild. So maybe Jonathan Allen can go on a no-go list as well. But yeah, Ron Rivera, no-go. Just doesn't have his team prepared, even as we come to a close on the season here. It is a bye week, and Ref the District will be acting accordingly. We'll be live Wednesday, so if you want to yell at me for my Sam Howell take or my Terry McLaurin take, you can do that live on Wednesday night at 7:30 Eastern right here on YouTube. But outside of that, we're going to take a break. No DCUs, no Daily Commanders updates on Tuesday, Thursday, or Friday. Of course, no game preview going to be coming up Saturday. We won't be streaming anything Sunday because Washington is off. We'll be here if there's big news. We'll be here if there's something that pops. We'll come up on the channel, and we'll make sure to give you that content there. We're heading into the Week 14 bye week. There's not much left to play in this season. I talked about on our play-by-play stream yesterday. Washington maybe upsets the Rams. Maybe Dallas doesn't play their best, or their starters in Week 18 because they'll already have their position kind of locked in place. The Jets are not a good team. They're not even sure if Zach Wilson is going to be playing for them. Like they have an offense that's about as bad as our defense. So there's like 3 games that I wouldn't be surprised if Washington comes out of the blue and wins, and then fans get upset because it drops them to like 7th in the draft. But I don't want to worry about any of those, right? I don't want to think about those. I don't want to think about this game against Miami. I want to go into this bye, and I want to start thinking about which players are worth keeping around, because that is key. We know that there's going to be some turnover. We know that it's going to be change come January 8th after the Dallas Cowboys game. So what is it that's there? And we'll be talking about that in the cool down on Wednesday's show. We'll be talking about the kind of the go-goes and no-goes of the Washington season, the things that went right and wrong. We're also going to have some truths or lies in the beginning there, a little fun in the cool down, or not the cool down, but the warm up as well. So make sure you do join on Wednesday. We'll keep things fun and light for Washington, as things were a little bit darker than usual here. I try to stay positive, Perry, but I had to come out and I had to talk about this because too many people are writing and dying with Sam Howell as if he is the greatest gift to the football field. He had a bad game, folks, and it's okay to recognize that. I'm Nathan Perry here on Ref the District. We're presented by Bet Online. You can catch us again Wednesday live at 7:30 Eastern. But until next time, be a fan.